Hi everybody and welcome to For Dance Sake. So this is actually probably my first video for 2023. I hope that you're off to a great start and that you are having a productive and happy and healthy 2023 so far. And if you're new here, my name is Natalie. I share videos on here about my experience as a dancer, particularly an adult ballet dance student, and also just experiences of life in general. So I hope that you will have a look around at my videos and you will enjoy this one. This video is going to be a little bit different from the ones I've been making recently, which have been more sort of like little films about my experience living in this city and dancing in the city. This time I want to do something a bit more unscripted. So I just want to try to just share my thoughts with you. When 2023 started, I had every intention to produce lots of content, be prolific in creating valuable content for YouTube, and find ways to collaborate. And I really wanted to start with a bang. I think many of us feel that way at the start of the new year. We create resolutions and we create plans and we want to carry them out. Somehow though, when January came, I don't know, it just did not happen. I would write things down, or try to write things down, but I never made anything for a number of different reasons. And so coming here to just sit down in front of the camera is actually a way of sort of maybe kickstarting my productivity on YouTube for 2023. I think, well, I don't know what this video is actually going to be by the end of it, but I think I know who I want it to be for. I want it to be for those of us who are creatively blocked, because I think that is where I am. I have been creatively blocked. So what does it feel like to be creatively blocked? For me, it feels like indecision. I can't make up my mind what I want to do. I have lots of good ideas, but I can't move forward on any of them. You know, I just keep on switching backward and forward between thoughts and can't move forward to actually take steps to do anything. It also feels to me like I can't really think clearly. I can't think through my ideas, or I can't find the time or make the time to sit down and think through my ideas. And I also feel like there's a big part of it that's rooted in this feeling of wanting everything to be perfect. So I feel the heavy weight of perfectionism on me, wanting to do everything right and for everything to be a hit. So that's what I've been dealing with. Why do people get stuck like this? If you're working full-time and whatever your creative venture is on the side, that could be a big thing, because working full-time takes most of your day and a lot of your energy and thought. And so, you know, your creative work tends to just get deferred, put aside to another time. So that can contribute to it. Other things could be just like health, for example. If you're not feeling well, either physically or mentally, you're anxious or depressed, or you don't sleep well, you know, things like that can just stop that creative flow. But for me, I think one of the biggest things that are contributing to creative block would be feeling just overwhelmed, you know, with this burden of sorts that you put on yourself to do something bigger than what you're capable of at the moment. So you aspire to big things and you put a lot of pressure on yourself and you just feel overwhelmed. So these are some of the things that have got me stuck, and I want to tell you more about my thoughts on this and maybe the way forward. But I'm going to take a pause for right now, go and take my class, and I'll be right back, maybe afterwards with some more thoughts to share. Hi everybody, I'm back. I had a great class, and I've been thinking since I've been gone on some ideas for how you can get out of creative block. Now, before I get into it, I just want to say creative block, I'm using that term to refer to, any type of block. You know how writers have writer's block, okay? I might just say painters have painter's block, or if, whatever type of creative endeavor that you are involved in. I'm a dancer, obviously, and I make YouTube videos, I make videos, so that's where my block lies. But it could relate to any form of creativity, and it doesn't have to be artistic either. But yeah, I just wanted to explain how I'm using that term, creative block. Okay, so the way out of it, how do you approach that? And these are my ideas. One thing that could be very useful is to, especially if you're like me and you're dealing with a situation where you are very, very busy, you work full time, and you have family obligations, and you have other things that are just, taking your time. I have found it helpful in recent months to really start breaking down my big jobs into littler jobs, smaller tasks. Or even if you are, like me, very overwhelmed by a project, really work on breaking it down into smaller sections, smaller objectives, smaller tasks that you may more easily feel more comfortable with approaching and actually doing. And how small those tasks are will depend on you and how overwhelmed you are and how busy you are. But sometimes I really have to get very small. I have to break them down very, very small in order to start what it is that I want to start. And so, that would be one of my suggestions. Break it down. Break down your big old project into tiny little tasks, and that may make it feel more approachable, and then you can start the process of breaking this creative block and getting things done. Now, the next thing that I could mention, the next idea, is for those of us who are overwhelmed with the desire to make something great, make something amazing, and have it all perfect and so on. I think that we have to practice letting go of perfection, the desire to have things perfect. And how do we do that? Well, maybe today is an example of that for me. I have no idea how my video is going to turn out, and if you actually see this video, maybe it is proof that I'm starting to make headway in this area. because I have to plan everything out. That's the way I roll. I have to plan out what I'm going to do. I have to see that it is planned to a T so that I can get the very best. Now, I don't see anything wrong with aiming for the very best. In a way, it's admirable to aspire, maybe not to perfection, because nobody can be perfect, but aspire to a high level of achievement or excellence, because how would anybody get anything excellent in life if people didn't aspire to being excellent? And we all love to admire excellent works of art and excellent levels of achievement in people, and it's a good thing overall, I think. But when it gets to the point that we have this idea that nothing we do is good enough because it's perfect, it's not perfect then, sorry, that becomes problematic, and it stops us from doing anything at all. And so I feel it's really important to just sort of think, you know what, I'm going to start. I don't really know what the final outcome is going to be. I'm going to just try something and see where it leads. And as I work on it, it will get better. It will get better and better and better and better. And so accepting the possibility that it will not be the finest masterpiece, and it will not be maybe even excellent. It may not even actually reach the level of excellence, but it's enough just to make something, And so I think that's really important, just sort of letting go of the desire to be perfect, this overwhelming urge to be perfect. I think it's really important to consider where this idea of excellence is coming from, what is defining excellence, and where this definition is coming from. Because the truth is, when you think about it, a lot of the time, this definition is not coming from within us, it's coming from outside of us. It may be from traditions of how things are supposed to be done in various disciplines, which are attached to rules. And I think rules and traditions are important because out of these rules, we have been able to create some very amazing works and achieve some very amazing things. However, sometimes the rules can be so limiting that they stop people from really being creative, expressing themselves, expressing what is coming out innately from within. And I think this can really block people. And this is something interesting for, I suppose, for a ballet dancer to say, because we all know that ballet is full of rules and traditions and customs. And, they are necessary in order for ballet to be ballet. But, I do realize at the same time that it is really a shame for us to allow rules, arbitrary rules, to stop us from feeling the ability to share creative work. And so, I think it's important to reflect on where our definition of excellence is coming from. And sometimes we have to break or bend a rule in order to allow ourselves the freedom to create. Another place that the definition of excellence comes from is from comparison. And we compare ourselves to those that we see, other artists that we see, other creatives that we see. And obviously this can be a good thing in some cases, because it can motivate and inspire us to do good work. But at the same time, sometimes a comparison can be destructive, because we can be comparing ourselves negatively in comparison to others. And the negative comparison is not warranted sometimes. It's just our perspective being a little bit distorted. And so, especially nowadays with you know, the amount of work that's published online, especially through social media, you know, I think it's really important to be mindful of our response to other people's work and seeing what other people do, because sometimes we're not responding in a healthy way. We're responding in a way that makes us feel inadequate and makes us self-critical to a negative degree and stops us from feeling free to create and to share what we make. Now finally, the last of my ideas for how to get over this creative block would be to, and this is something that I'm working on myself, I admit, and it's not something that comes easily to me because, okay, let me tell you what it is first. So it is just creating time and space in your life, creating time and space in my life to work on my projects, to be creative, you know? So, I mean literal place and literal space in your home or in your office or wherever it is for doing some creative work. It's not as, sometimes it's not as straightforward as it may sound. Because, and I'll tell you why. The reason why is because we just forget. We get consumed with life as it is. We know what we see and we get accustomed to things the way they are. And it's hard sometimes to notice that the way things are, your space or your schedule as it is what the real problem is. You know what I mean? To actually identify the problem. And so I've been forced, well, I haven't been forced, but I've taken some time to think through why it is that I'm not making stuff, and I've identified a few areas that I needed to change to make it possible for me to start to work on what I've got to work on. To an extent, you may say that this video is a result of this sort of introspection and just taking the time to think through, okay, well, how can I find time and space to make a video? So yeah, that is what I've got to propose as a way forward for those of us who are creatively blocked. I hope that some of these ideas could be helpful. I can't pretend that I know the answer because, as you can see, this is something that I'm working through myself, but maybe some of these tips will help you, and if they do, please let me know. And if you have any suggestions for me on how to be more productive in my YouTube videos or dancing or any area, or if you're struggling with this yourself, please let me know. Maybe we can swap some ideas. So that's all I've got to say for now, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.